For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
A nation clearly in mourning at this time as we have recorded 3 homicides, and that is between Friday and the wee hours of Sunday. That should be about Saturday, bringing to 41 the number of homicides so far for this year. Hello everyone, welcome to another week of NewsSpin right here on Power 97.9 FM, as well as on YouTube and our NewsSpin Facebook page. Good afternoon to you. My name is Timothy Poleon. We'll be together until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Let me turn my attention now to our NewsSpin Facebook question of the day. Our NewsSpin Facebook question of the day: why are criminals brutalizing the nation without fear? And the common feeling is that because criminals believe that they will not be caught. And even the Prime Minister, speaking to reporters earlier today, made reference to him. And we'll be hearing from the Prime Minister during the course of our program. But we also hear that the police cannot be everywhere. But if the police significantly improve their detection rate, don't you think that will send a signal to criminal elements or people who want to engage in criminal acts and violent crimes at that the possibility does exist that they will be caught? And if the police increase the detection rate, then clearly that will send some kind of signal to our criminal elements in the country. if there's more patrols being undertaken by the police in unmarked vehicles, police who are not in uniform. Because very often it's not the size, very often it is not the number, very often it has to do with creativity, ingenuity, how you use your resources, because not only we are aware of some of the hotspots, but we are aware, for example, that there are a number of drive-by shootings occurring in various parts of the island. We can no longer claim that we have certain areas where it's more likely to occur than others. We also have a situation where a lot of our women are under attack and they are losing their lives in the process. So definitely the police must try to do whatever that is possible to effectively tackle the crime problem with the limited resources that they have. Because can you imagine the trauma somebody would have to go through in the case of a 72-year-old woman in a home found tied in a pool of blood? That kind of experience. And also a drive-by shooting involving somebody in their 30s and another individual. We have reached a point we have to say enough is enough as a people, as a country, as a government, and we have to take the fight to the criminal elements in our country. And if we continue to allow things to go haywire, then forget economic growth, forget about making gains in the tourism industry, forget about the youth economy, forget about making advancements as far as healthcare is concerned, because very soon I don't think we'll be able to govern this country. But anyway, let's focus now on our NewsSpin Facebook question of the day. Why are criminals brutalizing the nation without fear? Just a few comments. Because their party is in power. I don't think that criminals are attacking people primarily because their party in power, whether it's SLP or UWP. I think criminals, unlike many people in St. Lucia, they're not concerned about politics. They're not concerned about Philip J. Pierre. They're not concerned about Alan Chasney. They're not concerned about Dr. Ernest Hilaire. They're not concerned about Bradley Felix. They are concerned about themselves. So this thing about because their party is in power, I don't think that is the case at all. Somebody says, Simple Tim, they know they won't get caught, so shaking my head. You have a point there. Another person, criminals are not being sent a strong message, hence the reason why they do what they do. No one is being caught. And finally, because the criminals know that whoever is in charge of crime, they do not give an F. I don't think that they don't give a damn. I believe that maybe they are jaded, maybe they are tired, maybe they are depressed, maybe they just don't know what to do, maybe they have given up. But obviously, if you are given a task to perform, you must ensure that you fulfill that responsibility, no matter how challenging that this becomes. And if it is too difficult, then what you have to do is to pass on that responsibility to someone else, because there are implications when you either underperform or whether there is a dereliction of duty. You abandon the task that is before you. And there are consequences. In this particular case, the consequences is that you have mayhem in a society. The consequences is that criminals will take matters into their own hands, will determine that they cannot be held accountable. And also, innocent people will continue to lose their lives. And also, criminal elements will decide that if for whatever reason they are offended, then they will snuff out the lives of people who offend them. that is what it is, and that is what is setting the basis for chaos in our country. And talking about long-term implications, in St. Lucia, we have a tendency that whenever a foreign national is killed in our country, we take note. Governments start to hold discussions with the governments that are calling upon them to put certain measures in place when the nationals are killed on local turf. Take, for example, this 72-year-old woman, Diana Theodore, living in St. Lucia for about 30 years, described as a community activist. And the story pertaining to her death appeared in the Daily Mail over the weekend. And the Daily Mail has a daily circulation of over 900,000. And from what I'm reading, very nice individual, affable. She's very loving, cares about people in her community, in Choiseul, etc. But obviously, the criminals, maybe they just see as a soft target. They did not take those things, those qualities into consideration. And therefore, according to media reports and according to what we're hearing from sources, she was found tied in a pool of blood with a laceration to her head. Her dog was also found dead in the house. And one resident said, according to the Daily Mail, not according to some local outlet, some local news outlet, the Daily Mail, she was a very nice person. Every time you see her, she would be smiling, her teeth always out. She's such a nice lady for her to have been treated that way. Everybody is just in shock and very sad because she's such a nice lady and did not deserve this at all. Things like that don't occur in Choiseul. Ms. Theodore left the UK many years ago to settle in St. Lucia, where she was a community activist, and her daughter works in the UK as a university lecturer. But you know what will happen tomorrow? The House of Assembly will meet. And that's my prediction. And even if the MPs are either watching or listening to this broadcast this afternoon, this will not result in a change of heart on their part. Now, there will be a sitting of the House tomorrow, and the following bills are down for consideration: income tax amendment, public debt management, security interest in movable property, and special prosecutor. But you know what? Despite the 3 homicides that we recorded over the weekend, the MPs will focus on themselves and not on what is impacting the wider society. The crime that is taking hold on our people, that is holding us ransom, that is making us prisoners in our homes, that is besmirching our character in St. Lucia as well as in other parts of the world, including the United Kingdom. And very soon, I'm sure that diplomatic officials will want to meet with their counterparts in St. Lucia to discuss the crime problem. And we have to find out whether certain actions will be taken against this island, where visitors from the UK will be called upon either to be very careful when they travel to St. Lucia or don't travel to St. Lucia at all. There is a distinct possibility, because we have a tendency, it is only when foreign nationals lose their lives in St. Lucia in such circumstances, tragic circumstances, that we take note and we issue statements and we condemn and we express shock. But I just took a clip from a recent sitting of Parliament, and we hope That is not what will happen at all tomorrow. Well, there'll be interjection and heckling, and politicians will make it all about them, issues impacting them, and settling old scores. We hope it will not be a repetition of what has happened in the past, because right now we are in serious trouble. We are not recording single homicides, but it's double homicides, multiple homicides that we are occurring these days.
Make available strategic lands to locals, including beachfront property for investment. What we were going to do in Sandy Beach was about subdividing and putting facilities across from Sandy Beach. Okay? No, sir. Not the one I gave the DSH. But you see, Mr. Speaker, this is what I'm talking about when we speak about the politics of old. So the reality is that in order to demean or to take away from the value of what is being said, the message is getting lost.
So, we hope we remain on point tomorrow, because very often we tend to be, as human beings, we tend to be selfish. We tend to be eye specialists, focus on what is impacting us, as opposed to what is impacting other people. And this time around, what is affecting us, what has been affecting us for a very long time, apart from inflation, the high cost of living, unemployment remains a major problem. Crime is also an issue of concern to the majority of the people of St. Lucia. If you have not been directly affected by crime, then according to surveys that have been conducted over several years ago, maybe over a decade, you have a serious fear of crime in this country. Every time you hear a dog bark, you don't think it's a stranger was passing through the neighborhood. You might believe that it's some criminal who was out to get you, who was out to bludgeon you to death. You see a vehicle passing again through your community, whether it's Babonneau, Anselare, Fouacho, etc., and you cannot identify the people who are in that vehicle, you believe that there will be a drive-by shooting. And that ought not to be the life that we should be living right now in this country. And when those things happen, it gives the impression that criminals are free to do whatever they want. Let's open the lines right now to take your calls at 452-2979. 452-2979, your WhatsApp calls and messages at 716-2026. That's 716-2026, as we embark upon another week of NewsSpin, where we discuss the issues in the news and matters of concern to you. Not matters of concern to the politicians. Because come tomorrow, mark my words, come tomorrow, it will be all about the politicians. Be all about UWP MPs, all about SLP MPs, all about what? The Blue Wave and Independent Labour. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah. I think one thing that is a problem in St. Lucia related to the criminals doing life as if there's nothing to control them is the possibility of people thinking that some police officers are too closely aligned to certain criminal elements. I know of certain communities where the people say they're not calling the police because when they call the police will often call the same criminals and let them know who called and said what. I think that is an issue that really needs examination and possibly to see if it is true and what can be done if so.
Okay, but caller, why do you think that we can pick up our phones, call people? Why do you think that very often we could pick up our phones and make calls and tell other people where they see their boyfriends and their girlfriends without identifying ourselves, and we cannot provide the critical information to the police without revealing our identity? It is possible we can do that, caller.
Sorry, I think, Tim, your call is not too clear.
Oh, you can't hear me too well?
No, sir.
Not too well.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Better.
All right, well, oh, better, okay. What I'm saying to you is that we St. Lucians, we have critical avenues at our disposal, methods that we can employ, we can use to provide the police with information without revealing our identity. This can be done.
Yes, I believe that can be done, and often you find people are resorting to that kind of situation where they may have to rely on maybe somebody to call them, and then that person have to pass the information. But they are kind of concerned to call themselves because often their identity. I don't know if it's true, but that's what people are saying. So I just want to call and make that contribution.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for calling. But I think if people want to assist the police, they are sufficiently creative that they can do so without revealing their identity. I think not until it hits home, we do not see the necessity to provide critical information to the police that will solve crimes. We have a call via WhatsApp as we say hello and good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Good afternoon to you, caller.
I asked some questions some time ago. I didn't get any answers. I'm still going to ask that question again because we all knew that direct awards was one of the major part of the Labour Party's campaign. And I am asking the question, has Reno been given the contract for St. Jude's? And if so, were there other contractors that bid for that project? In fact, was there a bidding process? Okay, I'm also asking the question now. Was Reno also given the contracts for the Default North Road? And if so, was there a bidding process? Because Tim, for the whole year the Labour Party have been in office, maybe I have not heard, but I cannot recall when there had been a bidding process. And you know that there have been contractors working all over the place. So I am asking the question, in the name of transparency and the same thing they were preaching all along, have there been any bidding processes for the jobs that they've been given, for the contracts they have been given, especially to Reno? Because I'm seeing Reno starting to work different projects all over the place, but I'm not hearing of any, bidding processes. So that's my thing today. I really want somebody to answer me.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope Miguel Favre is listening from the Ministry of Infrastructure. I should be able to clarify this issue. We have somebody who's holding on. Good afternoon, NewsSpin. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm okay, caller. Good afternoon to you.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Thanks
Tim,
for calling.
I'm a concerned citizen, with the level of crime in our country because it affects us all in one way or another. Because we're a tourism-based destination and we rely on the outside world to sustain us, whether we like it or not, through our main source of GDP. But having said that, Tim, I want to go back to the early 90s, late 80s, when there were more, if you want to call it walkthroughs, there were more roadblocks, there were more, I could say, on-the-ground policing than we see nowadays. Now, I know the top brass is doing its part to a certain extent of the police force, but I think there is somehow or the other, that's my belief, that there is some kind of disconnect between the lower portions of the force and the top brass, I think. I'm not sure. And I say that because, Tim, we cannot stop the illegal firearms from coming in on the water. We don't have the infrastructure. With the way we are, our terrain does not permit us to have a border security as much as we would like to have it to the highest level. But once they're in the land, people maneuver by road. That's how they maneuver. That's how they get from point A to point B. So we should see more roadblocks, and as citizens, we should understand why these are necessary to curb the movement. I'm certain if the police do a survey, they will find that they're getting more illegal firearms in these roadblocks. Now, a lot of policemen I've spoken to say, but yeah, the criminals sharing information as to where the roadblock is, with technology these days and WhatsApp and the list goes on. We ourselves, some innocent citizens, do it too, not even realizing how detrimental it is to say pass this way because there's a roadblock there. So indirectly, we are also, being a city wares. But at the same time, Tim, it's the only way that we have that we can truly fight the movement. And the walkthroughs in the different hotspots should not be after an activity has taken place in such a community. It should be consistently throughout at any point in time. Shake the tree. The bad apples will fall on those that are overripe will also fall. But when you see videos of young men having their little bags around them and can openly just take out illegal firearms straight off the bat in so many videos in so many different communities, it tells you that they're not afraid to hold their stuff on them because nobody's coming. So how do we shake the tree? Back in the day, there were black Cherokees and school bus and all of that, and a whole bunch of guys going around, and crime was at bay. Then, of course, yes, we had restore confidence, and then, of course, with the report from the impact, and then it became a political football, and to a certain extent, some police feel their hands are tied. But where are we as a citizen? Where are we giving the support to the police? And the police, too, as a caller rightfully said, need some integrity. The police on the ground need some integrity.
And we need to move quickly, to address all those areas you made reference to. We need to address those issues simultaneously, caller.
People need to, the so-called criminals need to be make it felt uncomfortable. There are too many guys sitting around doing absolutely nothing. There's some good guys who are sitting around doing absolutely nothing. I ain't going to tell you no, but Devil's Workshop, something pops up in their head or the influence of others. Let's go with me. Shake the tree and keep on shaking it. We cannot stop. Run more night shift than day shift police. I don't know. But there must be a way for us to see, how could I put, some form of input without even, I don't even know what to say, Tim, without even being, what you call it, Mary, not Mary, what's her name, the human rights people. We're not infringing on anybody's rights, but
Mary
the police
Francis
have a right to be in and out of communities as they feel. In and out of hotspots as they feel. We're too comfortable right now. And as a citizenry, we need to understand that the police need to do their job, and let's put our tails in and give the police the support they need.
All right, sir.
That's my 50 cents.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It has reached a point where it is unacceptable, and we need not only say that, we need to demonstrate that we cannot continue to tolerate that kind of life in this country, where a 72-year-old can be murdered in a home, can be tied, found in a pool of blood. And we don't know if the attacker or attackers also killed a dog, but the authorities, the police, etc., found the dead dog. Her dog was lifeless when they went to the premises. And therefore, we have to do something drastic. We need to move quickly so that we can bring this under some level of control and send some signal to our criminal elements in the society. For how long will we continue to say that? We have a WhatsApp call. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Good afternoon.
How are you, Tim?
I'm okay, caller.
Good. Tim, my plea with the crime rate here now, we need 34 canine dogs, 2 for each constituency to go out and do the search. That would solve all this gun violence because the guns are on run. They're not coming out of the moon now. They are on run, and we need to curb all these crimes happening to our small island. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. And we have to ask, how are police officers feeling? Because, I mean, you are responsible for keeping us under some level of control, in terms of maintaining law and order in the country. And if this is happening, this wanton violence is happening under your watch, it certainly says something about the level of efficiency that you're demonstrating, that you're displaying. It also says something about your professionalism, and also it says something about your capacity to handle the crime problem that we have been experiencing for quite some time now in St. Lucia. Yes, from time to time we call on the politicians because the politicians always put themselves at the center of crime. Never mind they tell you we're not they are politicizing crime. There's no other way about this. Whether it's SLP or UWP, politicians are politicizing crime, and also I actually believe it's a political issue, because when you elect a politician into office, it's to ensure that your life gets better as they continue to hold the reins of power in the country. And that is why they have certain portfolios dealing with critical areas that can either make your life better or certainly make it worse. So, for example, health. You have a minister of health. You have tourism. You have the youth economy. You have national security. Those are all very important portfolios. And if you have a portfolio, if you have a responsibility, because earlier I spoke about the police, then you must be able to demonstrate that you are worthy of that particular position. And so far, those who are charged with maintaining law and order in this country, they are failing, and they are failing miserably so. All right, I've ignored you in the chat room. Let me see what you are saying there as we continue our program and our discussion. Somebody says there in the chat room, I believe, okay, somebody, let me see if I could get a relevant comment there in the chat room. Please bear with me while I try to go through some of your comments while we are awaiting your calls on the program. When will this useless crime stop? Somebody says in the chat room. Well, don't expect that it will stop on its own, because criminals do not have a conscience. Criminals will do what they are allowed to get away with. And so far, criminal elements in this country over several decades have been given free rein to go out, to kill people, to injure them, and very often they are not made to account for those atrocities. Where are the foreign police St. Lucia got to help them? You'll be hearing from the Prime Minister in just a bit, because he'll be making reference to this, referring there to the RSS police officers. And we have another WhatsApp message. Not a WhatsApp message, sorry, but I'm just going through some of the comments in the chat room. And police also need to respect themselves and their jobs. Okay, any of your comments coming through in the chat room? Okay, somebody says there, which part is insensitive? Okay, making reference to an insensitive comment that somebody is being accused of making. All right, let me see if I have a WhatsApp message to go through at this point in time. All right, somebody says, Tim, successive governments have treated crime exactly the same way they've treated buildings after construction. One, they never have a credible preventative maintenance program in place, so governments have never had a credible crime prevention program in place. Two, things take care of itself, so governments think crime will take care of itself. You might be correct on this. Another person says, the government brought RSS here. Yes, they have a reduction in shooting incidents in VA4, but when they leave, what happens? Watch and see what coming in VA4. There'll be we in St. Lucia unless something happens. Okay. Another comment. Can I ask a question? Do you think St. Lucia has a police force? Well, we do have a police force. Another comment, going to the police station to make a report is very frustrating. Police officers ask for your NIC number, your date of birth, and so forth. Calling them is always when the criminal leaves. That's when they show up, if they do come at all. Shaking my head. Another WhatsApp message. Police are friends with the criminals. That I know for a fact. I live in a particular community, and that's a hot spot, including Jackmel, because both communities have same bus stand. There needs to be a shuffle every month at the police stations. Why make a call to the police station and they're asking you your name? That's unfair to you and plus to the criminals. Police officers are not to be trusted. By now, police officers should have been sufficiently trained so that they do not cause people to feel vulnerable in any way at all. Make them feel comfortable that they will share information with you. Asking people for their names when they're sharing information with you, clearly all that will do is to cause them to take flight. They will not want to divulge critical information when we continue to hear about allegations that police officers are very often in collusion, or they have friendly relations with criminal elements in our society. So some method should be employed whereby people can provide information to the police, and I think such mechanisms are in place without having to identify themselves. After all, what you are in search of is the information that would lead to an arrest, lead to getting evidence that you can pin on somebody who is linked to a particular crime. I don't think you necessarily need to find out who is providing you with that information. Still to come, you'll be hearing from the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Mr. Philip J. Pierre, on a range of issues. You are watching NewsSpin on our NewsSpin Facebook page as well as on YouTube, and listening to us on Power 97.9 FM.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of our secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control, all so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Lucilec kaveti ou pou point précaution diwan saison cyclone sa la. Mi an ti komisyon ki kaywen de ou protéger la vie ou ek propriétaire ou. Kouye Lucilec avant ou trim et ben couper pied bois qui poué ligne électrique. Veillez pour ligne courant électrique avant ou monter l'échelle. Fait assurer l'échelle, scaffold ek bout zouti ou ka servi pa vini moins ki 10 pieds hors ligne courant électrique. Pas jamais servi appliance et ben zouti qui ka servi courant électrique. Des wars côté qui mouillé et ben en la pli. Ça c'était en commission hors Lucilec.
Nightmares. It's your dependable neighborhood pharmacy. You'll notice that upon entry, you are greeted by caring professional staff, attentive to your every need. Your prescriptions are always treated with a high degree of confidentiality, and we pride ourselves on providing speedy, efficient service. We carry a wide array commonly requested over-the-counter products, and our prices are very competitive. We offer blood pressure testing, blood sugar, and cholesterol testing. We're open to fill your prescriptions Monday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Come visit Sadu's gas station on the Miku Highway or call us at 572-6840 or WhatsApp 461-6840 for more information. Night Meds Pharmacy. We are your community med store.
The biggest party in sport is back for the 10th year of CPL. And the St. Lucia Kings want to go all the way this year. CPL will be bigger, better and louder than ever. And with the return of our very own Johnson Charles to the Kings team. The games are between 7th and 11th of September. Get your tickets now at cplt20.com or at the box office. Join the party. Experience cricket played louder.
To this WhatsApp call as we say hello and good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon to you, caller. This is NewsSpin.
Hi, good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are on the air. Go ahead, please.
Okay, my question is this whole RSS issue, right? I need the public to know that the last National Security Advisor for St. Lucia was a past employee of RSS, and his contract was terminated because of political affiliation. And for me, I find that an injustice. And then now you have the very same people who fired him want to go back to RSS when he used to work, and he used to train judges and police officers all over the Caribbean. He was a good asset to St. Lucia, and it still is. But because Shastri hired him, he got fired. And this is a nonsense that we have to deal with in this country. That's why we don't go anywhere.
Okay, in the interest of transparency, caller, in the interest of transparency, can you reveal the name of that person? Because I'm not aware of what you're talking about there.
I don't have to reveal my name, but I know.
No, not your name. Not your name, caller. The individual you're making reference to.
Giovanni James.
Okay, I'm not aware of this at all.
Well, he was, and if you go and do the research, you will find out about him. You'll hear about him. He's known throughout the Caribbean. That's his line of work. He has a very, very strong portfolio. There were certain things that he was working on for the country that could have benefited the country. And then guess what? He was terminated because of politics, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, there could be more to this than that.
There's so many things that he was working on that could have continued and benefited every single one of us. And they're quite, I've spoken to people inside. They know that I know because I'm very vocal about it, because I'm very disappointed that this happened.
Okay,
cool. He is known. He has done a number of trainings in St. Lucia. His name is known.
Okay, caller. Thank you so much. But I'm not aware of what this caller is making reference to in terms of this particular individual who was attached to the regional security system being fired by this administration, primarily because he was hired by the Shastri administration. So we have to be careful, and I'm not in a position to verify this or even to challenge the caller on this particular allegation, because very often we can make various claims, but we need to be in a position to substantiate. On this occasion, yours truly is not aware of this situation. All right, somebody says there, I'm looking at a bigger picture. I'm not waiting until I'm a victim of crime for me to be concerned. This situation could reach anyone at any time. Do you think that woman ever saw that coming? I'm sure she felt safe in her community until now. I feel so sorry for the poor woman who was enjoying her life until now. That's also bad press for my beautiful Choselle. Making reference there to the killing of this 72-year-old woman, Diana Theodore. Also, Gavaskar Gustav of Otsa, he was in his 30s, shot at about 12:45 a.m. in Jackmel, 12:45 a.m. today. Then on Friday, he had a drive-by in Babonneau, the victim 27-year-old Shaquille Auguste. And of course, we just made reference to the body of 72-year-old Choselle resident Diana Theodore being found at a residence tied in a pool of blood. And she's from the UK, so the Daily Mail, which has a circulation of about 909,000 readers daily reported on this incident, and one definitely can expect some kind of fallout out of this. The UK, one of our leading tourism destinations, provider of visitor arrivals to our shores. All right, let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Somebody says only 12 police officers from the RSS are in St. Lucia. All right, thank you so much for that information, sir. Okay, let me see if I have another WhatsApp message. Somebody says, Tim, only in St. Lucia, someone who worked for government for 40 years, and depending on what party in power after retirement, they will be rehired. No luck for young people. You are so correct. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi. Good afternoon to you, Colin.
Tim, who really can protect us from the criminal elements in St. Lucia?
Can you repeat?
Who can really protect us from the criminal elements in St. Lucia?
Well, it should be the police, but it's a combination. We need to protect ourselves. No, hold on, caller. We need to protect ourselves, and also there is a role for the police as well.
Tim, the police only react when something is done. When something has been done. When a crime has been committed. That is the only time they react. How many crimes do you know they have stopped from happening? Home invasions, murders. How many do you know of they have stopped from happening?
Caller, from memory, I mean, I cannot specifically tell you how many, but there has been instances where the police would have intercepted people with firearms. The police would have caught people in the process of engaging in certain criminal acts. There have been instances, caller. There might be not many, but there have been a few cases.
Tim, I'm responsible for myself and my family, and I will go to whatever extent I have to go to protect myself and my family. You see, I would rather be caught with it than not have it when I need it. And that is just my mindset right now, and I'm sorry to think like that, but I would rather stand in front of a judge and explain why than my family crying. And, you know, it's so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous what's happening here. You know, people that are not supposed to have licensed firearms, they have it. And people that are law-abiding citizens, they give them such a hard time because you're not in the all-boy band club. And, you know, it's just so ridiculous down here. Anyways, have a good day.
All right, you too, sir. Well, you just heard from this caller, very frustrated, also very desperate. But, you know, there's been the amendment of the Firearms Act, penalty increases. The penalty, has been increased in terms of the amount of money that you could be charged and in terms of the length of time that you could spend behind bars. So be very careful, caller. Good afternoon. This is NewsSpin. You are on air.
Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, sir.
Tim, I'm frustrated, Tim, with the police, with the St. Lucia police force. Real frustrated, Tim. Tim, I am up to my head, Tim. Tim, I'm making reports, and all what they're asking me for is my ID card, go down, spend a whole day of giving statement, and nothing happening, Tim. Nothing at all happening with the St. Lucia police force.
Are you experiencing a particular problem, caller? You in particular?
Tim, yes. 82 batteries of mine were stolen, Tim. 82, that's one case. Right? And those 82 batteries, the police went and they took photos of those batteries in a business person's yard. They know exactly where those batteries are located, and it's going on. That happened since around March, Tim. And a day like today, no one can be arrested. You understand? Some some guys break and enter my shop the last month, Tim. I have the footage I sent to the police officers. Tim. That's another case. The individuals first showed up in my office on the camera. The police and them, I gave them everything up to a day like today. All my flat screens were stolen.
And they can't be identified? The perpetrators can be identified? The burglars?
Yes, Tim. Can be identified. They asked me to send them. I went and I bought a thumb drive. I sent the photo. I gave them the thumb drive with the individual faces. Right? I sent that to them. They told me they're going to start working on it immediately. Tim, a day like today, there was nothing. Tim, I bought some ready mix for me to do some work in front of my business place. I put the ready mix around by my area there, Tim. It was said to me that somebody was stealing the ready mix. So I went across by there the evening. Right when I got the ready mix, went to a neighbor, another businessman, bought the ready mix from the individual. I made it clear to the police. The police went to the individual, spoke to him. But because he is known and well known by those police officers, and all the police officers just go there and eat and sit and drink, up to a day like today, nobody can be arrested. Tim. And every one of that team, my wife was just calling the police department this morning to tell them why this is taking so long, Tim. So when you find these little things, well, I call it little Tim. When you find these things actually are just been swept under the bridge, then the criminals and them realize that they have the upper hand against the police. Tim, I am sick and tired, Tim. I'm working in vain. Like the individual called a while ago there, Tim, and he made a statement. Tim, I don't want to work again, Tim. I could just stay there and form groups, you know. And form groups just like about men and them, you know, Tim. You know? Because if that is the way the St. Lucia, our country is going, Tim, it's better I recruit my guys into doing wrong things. Because, Tim, I am sick.
Well, call it.
I'm fed up.
Somebody needs to step in and address that issue. Somebody needs to step in and address that issue. I know very often people don't like me to say that, but we have a prime minister. The prime minister is responsible for this country. He's not only responsible for us as people, he also is even responsible for individuals who are visiting our shores for the safety. And he needs to take that task, that responsibility seriously.
Tim, I am one person, I believe strongly what you just said there, Tim, because honestly, any government in power, I don't support them. I am on the opposition side. I am with the people of St. Lucia. I'm not about party, Tim. I am with the people of St. Lucia, Tim. I am hungry for justice in this country, Tim. Justice. Our people need justice. Our people need, the police officers need to be acting on the salary. We've been paying those guys a salary, Tim. Not to sit there and roam around with the people, that is doing wrong things and like everything is okay in this place. Everything is not okay. Get on there, get the boots on, kick asses like you want to kick mine. Search me down. You meet me in the ghetto doing wrong things. Put me down flat on the ground. Search me. You know? Do the things that we're supposed to do so we could get back our country going, Tim. Tim, 82 batteries, Tim, and that is sitting in a man's yard from since March, Tim. And I can't get my money out of that yet, and nobody can be arrested. But the person that took the batteries, wherever they took it to, Tim, I will not mention name now, Tim, on your radio station now, Tim. But those batteries are seated in a big money at Tim. And because that person big, the name of that individual is so big, it look like the police and them afraid because one police officer tell me, I ain't going there. Another police officer, I say, what happened? If it was John Doe, you would have arrested him already.
Yeah.
You know? So that person is too big for you to arrest him. Tim, unless we don't protect our country today with the small things, the big things will get away.
You just somebody says, now we're leading to a vigilante society with this kind of mentality, but I do understand. People are very frustrated, and very, very, very soon, talk show hosts will not be in a position to continue to tell people, please hold strain, do not take matters into your own hands, because as far as the evidence is concerned, for many people, they cannot give credence to that. For them, they might just as well dispense their own form of justice, because justice, the dispensation of justice in St. Lucia, is taking too long. But I continue to say we cannot afford to have a society that is ungovernable, a society where lawlessness continues to pervade us and take control of our country. We definitely need to ensure that those institutions that we have established, those institutions work for us, because the problem is not the institutions, the problem is not the system, the problem is definitely those people who are presiding over them. That is the source of our difficulties right now. All right, let me see if we have any of your discussions in the chat room to go through at this point in time while we are continuing to await your calls. Somebody says, some of the policemen aren't doing their work. They are good for nothing. Okay, let's see if we have another comment to go through at this time in the chat room. St. Lucia has no leader this time physically, but Jesus still have us. Thank you, Lord, for still looking over my little St. Lucia. Somebody says, this place is just too ridiculous. Don't know what they want. Okay, another comment. Now all of you are saying you're not about party. That's not what you all were saying before, and that is extracted from the chat room. Somebody says, since when, caller? Another comment in the chat room that is worth going through at this time. Somebody says, tell him call PJP for help. Another one says, this place is just corrupt. Another comment, y'all just start crying. Y'all will learn. Shaz was on your neck. Now he is out. Somebody says, keep singing Songbird. Okay, another comment in the chat room. Okay, let's see there. This guy has called in the past, always making excuses for this administration. Now he's feeling it. He's singing a different song. All right, lots of comments in the chat room. Still to come, we'll be hearing from Prime Minister Philippe J. Pierre as is being interviewed by reporters, and he addresses a range of issues. Coming up in just a bit on YouTube as well as on Facebook and Power 97.9 FM.
Exceeding your expectations is what we strive for at Lazarus Funeral Home. Losing a loved one isn't something you can foresee. Since the beginning, affordability has been one of our priorities. Every day we're proving that burials don't have to be expensive. If cost is a factor in your time of bereavement, call Lazarus Funeral Home. We have coffins starting at $800 plus taxes. Nothing can cause more disappointment than poor quality. Help us help you keep your last memory of your loved one sacred. Make it special. Make it Lazarus Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Located at Bibliotheque Castries at 452-7491 and New Dock Road, V4 at 454-6555.
Contact Lucelec before trimming or cutting down trees that are near overhead electrical wires. Watch out for power lines before you begin working on a ladder. Be sure that ladders or scaffolds are far enough away so that you and the ends of the tools you're using don't come within 10 feet of power lines. And never use any electrical appliance in wet surrounding outdoors or in the rain.
This message is brought to you by Lucelec, the power of care.
Good life is what I say, makes me happy every day. Good mood is all I need, it makes me happy, yes indeed. Got fun, love, family, community, great food from KFC.
serving great tasting chicken for generations. KFC.
It's good, it's finger licking good. It's good, it's finger licking good.
Great food anytime at KFC. It's finger licking good.
Born from the same soil, growing stronger.
Raised of our own sweat and toil, doing it together.
Our bank for you and me,
taking us forward so proudly.
First National Bank, the best of who we are. First National Bank, together we'll go far. The pride of St. Lucia, here to stay.
Growing up, growing stronger, it's a First National way.
Every day we're making better, faster and smarter, convenience like no other.
First National Bank, the best of who we are. First National Bank, together we'll go far. We'll go far. For decades every day, it's clear, it's true. First National Bank, we're here for you.
And now we hear from Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre as he was being interviewed earlier today by a number of reporters just before Cabinet met.
A normal visit, a usual visit. The ambassador was there and some of the political officers from the ministry. It's just from the embassy. It's just a regular visit. Nothing special. You know, the US and I and us are allies, we're friends. We respect each other's sovereignty, and we reiterated our position is that we believe that all countries should be respected and we should not interfere in the internal affairs of any country. And the friendship with the US continues and it grows stronger every day.
What are some of the issue here in St. Lucia?
No, I said clearly there are no immediate plans to review the VAT rate in St. Lucia.
What about between now and the next vote?
Too far.
They have some concerns. The Chamber of Commerce just released their business survey plan.
It said that the businessmen had the confidence of businessmen were increasing. You read that? It said that business confidence was increasing, that the business sector felt that things will go in the right direction. You read that, did you?
Yeah, but it's also that they say inflation and the cost of goods. I read that too.
And that is the concern, the cost of all over. I mean, this morning, I don't know if you heard that the former chancellor in the US, Gordon Brown, he asked for a meeting with Boris Johnson, Ms. Truss, and Shiak, the three people who are contending in the leadership of the Conservative Party in London. And they asked that there should be a special cabinet meeting or special budget because of inflation. That's Great Britain, that's England, inflation. So inflation is something that we have to deal with.
And how are we dealing with it in St. Lucia?
We've said so many times before. I want to tell you again, what we're doing, we subsidize gas, we subsidize cooking gas, we keep the price of, we subsidize the price of fuel. We do not make what was projected to make from fuel. We've taken out 6.5% on the price control goods. We subsidize flour and sugar, and we are constantly reviewing these processes to see what can be done.
What about some other goods that still rated goods? Some other goods, are you looking? And I know that you have some concerns in that.
No, at the moment we're not contemplating any changes in the VAT regime at the moment.
The opposition is questioning whether the special prosecutor will look into
the opposition must be patient. The special prosecutor will do what he or she has to do. Patience is a virtue.
Will he or she look into the
I am not the special prosecutor, and I will not, as usual, not get involved in the business of the special prosecutor.
Prime Minister, one of the biggest issues, and I know you always talk about it, unfortunately, it's a serious issue in St. Lucia, the issue of crime again. I know it's a verticality. Over the weekend, we had 3 homicides. I want to know, what is being done and how important are we seeing to solve this problem?
As you said it again. Crime is a vexing problem. Crime is an issue that we're not pleased. One murder is too much less 2 or 3. But the problem that we have is that we have to deal with the solving of these crimes. You cannot. It's very difficult to stop some of these. Very difficult. I mean, all over. It's very difficult. But the issue is we have to solve them. That's just the problem. You have to solve them. But to prevent them, we have to try. But it's very difficult to stop somebody from having a family feud. Very difficult. But we have to stop it. And the issue is we have to solve them. We have to try to prevent them. Preventative and solving the crime issues. This is what we have to. And this is why we are engaging, as you know, only last week there was a course in domestic violence for policemen. We're trying to train our police. We're trying to bring them up to date with modern techniques. You know about this, trying to see if you can use drones, all sorts of things to help solve the crimes when they're committed. But there are some crimes that are almost impossible to prevent unless there's a new change. There needs to be a change in the mindset of our people. We need to look at how we resolve conflicts. We need to speak the truth. And speaking the truth is very important. If you need to speak the truth, we need to have a country where there is more empathy. But I'm very concerned, but as I said to you, some of these crimes it's very, very, very heart-wrenching, but we're going to see what we can do.
What about the RSS guys? Have they left and have they had any impact?
The RSS guys were here. For the impact, you have to ask Commissioner of Police.
But they left St. Lucia.
All right, so that's the Prime Minister of St. Lucia being interviewed by several reporters earlier today. We have a WhatsApp call as we say hello and good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you, caller. I'm okay.
Okay, Tim. The government needs to look into relocating that passport office. This place is not conducive for the passport office. The stairs, all these things, they need to get another building to put that passport office because it's really not right. The conditions, people have to go and stand up outside and, they really need to relocate that passport office. And inside of there is hot, the little stairwell, so, how in Patois say, queste, that's the number one problem. They really need to, and they need to get another place where they can put chairs, let people sit while they're waiting, because the 4 chairs or how many chairs they have in that office there, and the little corridor. That's not the way to treat St. Lucians. After you have to wait for so long, Tim, they really need to do something about the and Tim, boy, what are we going to do with that crime thing happening in St. Lucia? 3 murders over the weekend, Tim. It look like they're coming 3s and 2s. I don't know. Where are we going? What is happening here? It's really sad, Tim. I don't know. I don't feel safe in St. Lucia. I feel safe in the US safer in the US than in St. Lucia. It's so sad. Tim, that's all my contribution for today. Bye-bye.
All right, caller. All right, thank you so much. All right, what is happening in terms of your discussions in the chat room? I see many people are conversing. And let me see if I could go through some of those discussions, particularly your reaction to the comments made by the Prime Minister when he was being interviewed earlier on. Somebody says there, Papi Show, how asked the Commissioner when you are the Minister of National Security? And we have another comment in the chat room there. Somebody says, Pierre, you clueless, and they just ashamed to tell you that because they wanted a black prime minister. So y'all came with all your plans and wanted UWP to put millions there for your lazy go find money to do what you promised to take or take a pay cut. All right, let's see if we have any more of your reactions and comments in the chat room. Okay, somebody says there in the chat room, he cannot answer anything. Ask Special Prosecutor. Ask Commissioner of Police. bon. Okay, let's see if we have another comment. Lots of comments in the chat room, but we're trying to be extremely careful as to what we expose to the wider world or the wider global community. AA Prime Minister, so everyone can see for themselves. That's a comment in the chat room. Okay, let me see if I have a WhatsApp message to share with you at this time as we continue with our broadcast. Lots of comments via WhatsApp. All right, somebody says that Tim St. Lucia does not play with people's money. The consequences is death. Tim, if it were Shas, he would walk away. Another comment. I can't believe in a 238 square mile island, thugs can commit these heinous crimes with impunity. No one is caught. Leaders don't lose their jobs. This is just sad and frightening. Let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Somebody says, dear team, corruption and crime have become part of our Caribbean culture. Time for us to stop beating up on the police and address the root causes of the escalating crime across the region. Okay, let's see if we have another WhatsApp message. Any country with a weak law enforcement, crime must thrive. The biggest problem with our country, our force, is the promotion system. The biggest problem with our police force is the promotion system. This system has caused the inexperienced police officers to be the leaders. A group of sheep being led by a lion with defeat. A group of lions led by a sheep. Okay? Trying to make sense of this. Somebody says that this country is a lawless one. Some of your comments. Let me see if I have another one to go through. Tim, there is truth to what the lady said about the former RSS employee. All right, thank you so much for that. Okay, let me turn my attention now to some other matters. Yes, we've been speaking about crime and St. Lucia recording some 3 homicides over the weekend. We are now at homicide number 41. But what about the crashes and collisions on our roads? Weekend after weekend. For example, I think this weekend just gone, the one before that, between the north and south of the island, you had over 200 ambulance calls in one weekend alone. And this weekend in the north and the south collectively, you had a little over 100 ambulance calls. And we have, out of this, a number of crashes, a number of vehicle collisions occurring on our roads. Now, this too is unacceptable. This too is crying for some level of attention from the authorities, from the traffic department of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, as well as from the Ministry of Transport. And I wonder whether enough is being done, whether there's need for some kind of campaign, some kind of public education exercise, setting up of special bodies. I think you have in Jamaica a national security, a national safety council, okay, a national road safety council in Jamaica. In the case of St. Lucia, I don't know if we have any such entity in existence, but clearly there is need for this. There's need for us to focus on what is happening on our roads. And again, on this occasion, motorists, some wayward, some reckless motorists are acting with impunity because we do not have any police officers on hand to stop them and to caution them. After 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you do not have traffic cops on our roads. So people do whatever that they want. And this also obtains as far as the weekend is concerned. Many of you might not be out late on a weekend, but during the course of the day, let's say on a Saturday or Sunday, you get to see the fallout. You get to see the effects of the recklessness that is occurring on our roads in St. Lucia via the videos that are being sent to people, that are going viral, and the carnage that is taking place on our streets. Sometimes you have collisions involving 3 vehicles. And by the way, this incident which occurred on Friday in the intersection of Miku and Bridge Street. My understanding is the incident involved a 17-year-old male, and that's all the information I have. It involved a 17-year-old male, and the traffic department of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is investigating. One of the vehicles, as we reported, struck a woman. I think it was reported in sections of the media that the woman was pregnant. It turns out she was not pregnant. We heard, in fact, I heard the husband of the woman on another talk show earlier on today saying that the woman is not pregnant. So this matter is under investigation. So we look at the crime problem, in particular the shootings that are occurring in our country, the homicides, but also there's need for us to take note of what the recklessness that is taking place on our roads these days. So many people are being injured. So many vehicles are damaged in the process. So let us hear now from the station officer at the St. Lucia Fire Service, Mr. Fernando James, with an account of what transpired over the weekend.
This past weekend, between August 5th to August 8th, 2022, was somewhat of an active weekend for the fire service in response to ambulance calls and fire calls. The Southern Division responded to a total of 55 calls, with 38 calls being of an emergent nature, predominantly more medical emergencies with a few physical assaults and road traffic accidents. The Northern Division responded to 57 calls, with 43 calls being of a medical nature, 4 road traffic accidents, 1 gunshot wound incident, and a stabbing incident. There were 4 road traffic accidents occurring in the north, in the areas of Meekwood Street, Castries, Maris Hill Highway, Monjuro, and other related communities. Again, all patients who were involved in road traffic accidents or shooting or stabbing incidents were transported by emergency ambulances to the nearest area hospitals, such as OKU and St. Jude's Hospital. I want to, and of course the St. Lucia Fire Service, want to urge all members of the public in the need to drive with due care and attention on our roads. And not our highways, because we do not have highways, but on our roads, and take unnecessary precautions on not drinking and driving, or texting and driving, wearing a seatbelt, having persons in the required seating, not having children in the front seat, making sure we have our infants in our back seat or in our car seat. And of course, the need to curb the necessary incidents of gang-related violence and shootings and stabbings and domestic violence.
You just heard from station officer, and that is Mr. Fernando James of the St. Lucia Fire Service reporting on the incidents the fire service had to respond to over the weekend. You can only report, but it's for the authorities to act upon this, and in particular, we need to stress the need for the police to be more vigilant, and maybe they need the resources from the Minister of Finance. Maybe there's more that should be done by the Ministry of Transport to ensure that greater urgency is being brought to bear on our motorists, because obviously something needs to be done as far as the recklessness that is occurring on our streets almost daily, but definitely it is more acute during the weekend. All right, let me see if I have any of your WhatsApp messages to go through at this point in time. Somebody says, it is evident that Philip J. Pierre has no plan to begin to assist the police force in dealing with our crime situation. All he said was, we have to solve it. We have to find a way to solve it. All his words are always empty, no guidance, no foresight, no strategy. Hoping that luck falls on his side. How long can we continue to have a government on autopilot? Okay, let me see. All right, if we have any more comments? No, but we have comments in the chat room, and also we have some additional features to share with you. For example, what a caller to NewsSpin said last Friday, which definitely would have stood some interest among some of the listeners and viewers of the broadcast on Friday. But in case you missed it, just a little bit of what he said.
You want us to give you the money to give us. Does that make sense? Why must it have to pass hand to hand for it to register? And another thing, the economy growth, because Chasney had the vision that to understand that COVID would not last forever. So when the SLP was backing and doing whatever, climbing up trees.
All right, you just heard there from that interesting contributor to NewsSpin on Friday of last week. And some people immediately called for me to play it on Monday, today's program. All right, we have a news item coming from Loop St. Lucia. Noting that the crime situation is dire, Commissioner of Police Milton Daisy says assistance from regional and international security personnel is needed in St. Lucia. Just part of the observations that he made, and I'll be turning my attention to this in just a moment. Just bear with me. So the police commissioner calling for assistance both locally as well as regionally, and clearly that is a deviation from what we used to experience before. So again, noting that the crime situation is dire, Commissioner of Police Milton Daisy says assistance from regional and international security personnel is needed in St. Lucia. Commissioner Daisy spoke in the wake of 3 homicides over the weekend, one being that of a British woman in Choiseul. I believe that just the results over the weekend indicate that persons are still bent on committing. Please bear with me. I'm just trying to see if I could read this there, and I'll be turning my attention to this in just a moment while we continue to go through this. Please bear with me. I'll be going through this piece in just a moment. But clearly, the police commissioner is now calling, saying that there's need for outside assistance to address the crime problem on our island. And this is certainly not what we used to hear before. And that is certainly very concerning because not very often you would hear from our police that there is need for outside intervention. And he says, I believe that just the results over the weekend indicate that persons are still bent on committing a crime which is not good for the country, Commissioner Daisy said on Monday. So we will try to see if we can get that clip of the commissioner speaking in just a moment. He said, I think we need some help, whether it is in the region or internationally, to solve these issues, Daisy told reporters. He also said a lot of these homicides cannot be prevented, but I think the police action should be to solve those homicides, he continued. But I think if you work hard sufficiently, you can prevent some of these. I mean, you have crimes of passion in the home. A guy or woman decides to arm themselves with a firearm or a knife and so on, and they decide to attack their lover or their husband or wife. It can happen. But on our streets, and the fact that so many individuals have in their possession illegal firearms, I think at that level, this can be brought under some kind of control. So that is a first. Just about the first time we are hearing from our police commissioner, whoever is holding that position, wanting intervention from regional as well as international interests to tackle this particular issue. So let me see what is happening in the chat room as far as some of your comments. Please bear with me while I try to get a reaction from you. Okay, somebody says he was forced to make that statement. The other person says, call in American troops. And we have some more reactions in the chat room as far as your comments are concerned. Okay, somebody says there, okay, they can having their own discussions. Why is Sanusians not demanding Philippe J. Pierre step down as Prime Minister? The man is clueless, and these SLP people want to give you mapui when you talk. Okay, somebody... All right, let's see what's happening in the chat room. But again, that is basically, that's breaking news. Hearing the police commissioner say that the time we have reached a point when we need assistance both regionally and internationally. Noting that the crime situation is dire, Commissioner of Police Milton Daisy says assistance from regional and international security personnel is needed in St. Lucia. Commissioner Daisy spoke in the wake of 3 homicides over the weekend, one being that of a British woman in Choiseul. I believe that just the results over the weekend indicate that persons are still bent on committing a crime which is not good for the country, Commissioner Daisy said Monday. According to him, the situation is causing grief to many relatives as a result of the selfish behaviors of others. I think we need some help, whether it is in the region or internationally, to solve those issues, Daisy told reporters. A lot of these homicides cannot be prevented, but I think the police action should be to solve those homicides, he continued. What an admission on the part of our police commissioner. Because our top law enforcers for years now have been saying, we don't need outside assistance. We can handle this on our own. And even their predecessors, those individuals who have retired, high-ranking police officers who have retired, whenever I've interviewed them, whether it's on NewsSpin or on DBS's News Make Alive, they are quick to say, we do not need any kind of foreign intervention. We can handle it. We have all the studies. We have all the reports there taking dust. We just have to revert to them. And there are so many recommendations to address that particular ill. And we don't need outside involvement. Well, now we are hearing something totally different from our police commissioner. I think finally we're admitting that this is way beyond our capacity as far as addressing the crime problem in this country. Let's focus now on our NewsSpin news of the day. The NewsSpin news of the day. Shock as London police admit strip searching hundreds of children. Are those perverts? Our NewsSpin news of the day. Shock as London police admit strip searching hundreds of children. And that's your NewsSpin news of the day. Let's end with this. Some information coming from the Immigration Department of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Called Claudia Montlouis has a notice pertaining to people who would have applied for their passports before July the 25th.
In ensuring the continued smooth transition to the electronic or e-passport system, Cabinet has authorized by Cabinet Conclusion number 480 of 2022 that applicants in possession of valid payment receipts issued prior to the 25th of July for either new or renewed passports shall not be required to pay any additional fees for the issuance of the electronic passports. That is to say that persons with receipts up to 24th July 2022 shall receive the e-passports at no additional cost. The new e-passports are currently being rolled out to hundreds of citizens. Prime Minister and Minister for National Security, Honorable Philippe J. Pierre, and the Minister for Home Affairs, Honorable Dr. Virginia Albert Poyot, have pledged their continued support in ensuring an efficient and people-friendly transition for all. The government of St. Lucia shall absorb any monetary shortfalls related to this gesture. Claudia Monlouis, reporting for the Department of Home Affairs.
All right, thank you so much, Claudia. I understood that it was chaos outside the immigration department today. Maybe it still is happening right now. The chaos continues outside the immigration department on Bridge Street. So many people want to either renew their passport or want to get new passports, and definitely they're going through the travails, a major headache for those people. I really don't envy you. Reminiscent of what people used to go through several years ago while trying to get their birth certificates, and it will take a very long time before this problem is rectified. Maybe again will take the intervention of foreigners. We don't like foreigners, and maybe a few white people. We don't like white people. We'll have to step in and address that problem for us. That's the broadcast. As always, thank you so much for watching on YouTube as well as on Facebook, and thank you so much for listening on Power 97.9 FM. My name is Timothy Poleon. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 with another broadcast. We'll be able to report on a sitting of the St. Lucia House of Assembly. Let's see what will happen in terms of the parliamentarians focusing on the people's business. What is happening at the chaos at the passport, at the immigration department, and also the serious crime problem in our country. Goodbye.